This is a really quick overview of what are your options around setting time horizons for OKRs, or in particular, the key results. So obviously time's a continuum. If we've got the future, which is what we worried about with OKRs and, the past. Now, within the future, let's agree that there's some time frames. So we have the world as it is this second, and then we've got the near future. And obviously our ability to predict our performance in the near future, the next day, the next week, is pretty good. Then we get into this second, I'm going to call it the speculative future, where things get a bit fuzzier. And then we got stuff that's way out in the distance, just wild guesses. So let's agree that we definitely don't want to be playing around with wild guesses. What we want to do is begin to get a better handle on this speculative future. Now, one of the things with OKRs is we're not trying to do this annual planning, right? Annual planning, who knows what's going to happen 3 quarters from now? That's back into that wild guesses category that we're not using. For most organizations, that speculative future is inside of the next quarter. So we've got a reasonable understanding of what, all things being equal, we're going to achieve in that next quarter. So that's what our target range is. Okay, stage set. Now let's move on to what your options are. Option 1 of these sort of alternative futures is what I'm going to call committed. Committed is the number that you're absolutely positive you can nail. And so that's often what you see in your financial budgets, right? There's sales targets and that kind of stuff. And you've committed to shareholders, to investors, to executives, to customers, employees, what you're going to go to. That's committed. And that one, obviously, it's a pretty tight interval. The next, which is going to be a broader performance level, is what I'm going to call best possible. So best possible is what happens if everything goes perfectly. Every proposal you put out there gets signed. Every proposal that's signed gets delivered this quarter. Every delivery is 100% quality and on time, and that everything that could go right does go right. Now, I like best possible because we could calculate it. You could take a look at that number. I could look at the number and the process, and we'd come up with roughly that same best possible, right? Let's say I wanted to get order to cash cycle. If you looked at it and I looked at it, we could, probably pretty accurately agree on what that time horizon looks like. And then the third option is what John Doerr calls stretch. Now, stretch is just that. It's going beyond what you know how you can do to try to make you stretch and get better performance. And I'm going to go into more detail on that in a second video, but the short executive summary goes, those are what your options are. And there's no magic to which one you choose. It's about culture. It's about what you want to communicate. The dilemma I see with stretch is one executive stretch might be half of what the next executive stretch is. What does that mean? It means that the organization's no longer balanced. Some people have these really amazing goals to go for, and others just have to do 10% better than last quarter, and they're going to make their targets. So it's not what I call the fair game. So our recommendation is that you use best possible. Why? Because it's more than committed. Like, it's trying to stretch the organization and make it do better, but it's within the realms of the possible, so you don't demotivate people, and we could all agree on more or less what that number is. So I hope this has been useful to you. Just a new way to think about how you can describe these horizons to other people. We'd love to share more of our ideas with you. There are probably about 300 YouTube videos that we've recorded that you can find on our YouTube page. We also write a continuous series of blogs about OKR and related topics. Or feel free just to give us a phone call or email me. Happy to have a conversation about any of these topics. Talk to you soon.